now time for Rocky Talk, which is brought to you by Rocky Mountain Equipment. And dependable is what we do. My guest is Stephen Gillis. Stephen, how's it going?
Oh, very good. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, is you having a good time here at the show?
Yeah, although I kind of wish I was wearing shorts. It's rather warm. Beautiful day for it, but not dressed appropriately.
Denim was not a good choice for you. No, for anybody.
Yeah.
Well, it has its moments, but
yeah.
Anyway. Okay, so we're going to talk today about water and using a view from the sky to manage the water that as it moves on your land.
Yeah, so we're finding that a lot of our customer base is dealing with water-based issues. They're constantly year after year getting drowned crop, or they're taking a hit to the bottom line because of excess moisture. And by using an aerial survey, we're able to accurately and precisely collect the information that they need, that they can then figure out what needs to be done, where it needs to be done. And by knowing exactly what you're doing and where you're doing it, you can then come up with a conclusion of should it be done, what it's going to take, and is it cost effective.
Yeah, a lot of times when we try to figure out our drainage projects, and this hasn't necessarily been a year where people have been bombarded by water, except maybe early spring. Like if you look at the Tabor, Alberta area, it didn't look like anybody was going to plant anything, right? So, but the view from the ground or the view from the road isn't necessarily the best view on how to make that plan on the drainage.
No, absolutely. So by having that aerial survey, whether it's a drone or a plane, and we're able to use a LiDAR system to essentially scan the ground, we can get in there, gather that data, and find every minor detail. So if there is a tiny trough or a little obstruction that might not show up if you're only surveying every 50 feet with a conventional driven unit, that's going to show up on ours because we're getting 50 to 60 data points in a square meter. So it's a much, much denser data collection system. We're gathering all of that information, and then we're able to solve those problems. One of the issues that we find dealing with drainage, or that our customers are finding dealing with drainage, is come springtime, it looks great. You're going to seed everything, and everything is great, and it's all well in the world, and then it starts coming up, and all of a sudden you get hammered with a couple major rain events, and you lost 5-10% of your crop because it's now drowned out, and it's never going to grow. At that point, it's too late to drive and collect a survey, and you don't really want to wait until after harvest when the crop is off to get it. By flying, we're still able to collect that information. We can penetrate through a crop canopy, still get you an accurate reading of the ground. So even though it's mid-season and your canola is in bloom, we can still give you the information you need to make a very precise and accurate fix to that problem.
I can remember as a kid, my dad and grandfather would, they're talking about drainage projects.
Yep.
It was a huge fight because they would argue which way the water was moving. Right? No, it drains that way. No, don't you remember it goes that way. You seem to be solving that problem, preventing fights between family members on the farm.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's one of my big life goals. Yeah, you have factual data. We do a lot of clinics, a lot of promotions, a lot of demo days. Last year we did one in Westlock, and there was about a mile-long run that we needed to just minor touch-up. Nothing major, but it was a really long cut. And so we went through and we hammered it out, and halfway through the day, we're done. We need to find a different area that we can work in because we're done and we still want to show more guys what we can do. And there's no more point in continuing to fix the ditch because it was resolved. So we moved on to the next project, and the landowner's like, okay, we've got this water problem here. I want to move it to the east, connect it with that ditch, and then move it off the field. So we went and we surveyed it, and we were able to gather that data. We're like, yeah, you don't want to connect those two because the spot that you're wanting to drain is the low spot, and it's all going to come back at you as opposed to coming off the field. So you need to actually move it out the different direction. And it's very common that I talk to guys and they say, yeah, I've been fighting with this spot for 5, 10, 20 years. This is what I've been trying to do. And you sit down and you show them, this is what you have. This is why you've been fighting with it for 10 or 20 years. Because there's 1.5 feet of elevation over a course of a mile. And no, you can't see that by eye. But with the proper system, you absolutely can see it. And then you come up with a plan that does work for them. And you take a project that they've been working on for a decade or more, and you're done it in 3 hours. And then you kind of just let them forget about it and pretend it didn't happen and move on to the next thing because you kind of feel silly at that point.
Well, like I said, solving those family issues on the farm. Awesome. Okay, Stephen, that's all the time we got here for Rocky Talk. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you very much for having us.
Okay, this is Stephen Gillis with Rocky Mountain Equipment. Rocky Mountain Equipment, the sponsor of Rocky Talk that you can hear every Wednesday here on RealAg Radio. Okay, coming up next is our farmer panel. They are ready to go. Sean Stanford, Jeff Bennett, Riley Anderson. They've been preparing there. They've been talking over there in the corner on the other side of the tent. They're ready, and I am too. I got lots of hard pressing questions for these panelists. We'll be right back here on RealAg Radio from the Farmer's Edge tent at Ag in Motion right after this.